Generals, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Company of Heroes 2. We are in a 1 versus 1 match here on the new patch, March Deployment, which isn't really new anymore. It's been around for quite some time, but that's okay because on the left-hand side we do have Jesulin, who is currently ranked in at number 2 as the Germans on a 60 win streak. So let's see if Mr. Siberian can take him out and vanquish and crush that glorious win streak of his.
We will see indeed. Siberian going to be going for that very, very early tier 1. Going to be interesting to see what he does decide to get out of that. Snipers would be interesting, especially on, a map like Kolodny that's very, very open. So, I'm guessing scout car play is what we're going to be seeing coming out here. Maybe? I mean, I'm not really sure. What do you think?
I definitely wouldn't say Kolodny is open.
Well, not open. By that, I mean kind of like, snipers wouldn't be very useful because of all the kind of the shot blockers. Like, It's very easy to get them like caught out. It's cluttered is the word, more of the word.
The absolute definite opposite of open.
Well, yeah. Not by open I mean quite spread out, but yet cluttered, full of little objects and houses.
That's
and
not what
such.
open means.
Well, look, Onish Machine. Okay, I used a misworded pun. I fixed myself. Can we just get on with the barbed wire?
Yes, we can actually. Well, we can't, but Siberian sure as hell can. Interesting wiring. Personally, I prefer to wire off the cover, like wiring off behind that heavy. That's a nice one here, though. I like that one, but it's kind of pointless in my opinion. I think wiring off the cover means that if the German does go for the decap, they're going to have a hard time holding it because your conscripts will be in cover and they will not. But penal squads will be the unit of choice here for Siberian. A lot of Soviets have been liking the penal play. They have changed penals a lot recently, well, in that latest patch, March Deployment, which makes them less sort of elite infantry and makes them more sort of your general frontline troops. They're not as powerful, but they're a lot cheaper to compensate.
They are indeed. Same general kind of a play as a conscript. You do want them in fairly close range. Don't want to be firing at long range against those grenadiers, and they do have a pretty substantial drop-off as you get to kind of the longer range. Just even a bit of engagement here.
Yeah, well, penals are even more so of that situation where the penals really need to be up close. Their SVT-40s are pretty powerful at close range because of their higher rate of fire compared to the Kar 98Ks, but at long range, the Grenadiers are just so much stronger, and it will catch the 2v1 here. Grenadiers definitely going to be outnumbered, and you can see how fast they drop when they get in close there. Engineers on the flank here. Grenadiers still in the 1v2. If they're at distance, and the neg cover on the penals will make them drop pretty fast, but even then, they can close the gap just fine and will force that retreat.
Yeah, going to be forcing off those Grenadiers. It was actually for some very, very nice neg cover avoidance from Siberian. He came around the hedge right on the edge to avoid the road. If you actually do run into that road, you can drop models incredibly fast. Neg cover is very, very dangerous, especially with the increased lethality in March Deployment.
Yeah, that mine wasn't actually finished, but it was out of the vision there. So this is going to be the cutoff here. And looks as though Jesulin's going to drop a Grenadier model, but we'll get the cutoff in time. But he's going to have to back away just fine. So the harassment hasn't really paid off, but behind that, the entire time, Jesulin has been capping the north and the west as well. So Jesulin has some pretty good territory.
He does indeed, and that cutoff is incredibly brutal. I mean, Jesulin invested so many resources into capping this this left-hand bottom side. Yet, had it cut off, so he's been losing income from that, has to send the squad back to grab that, and so he's got less frontline pressure. Now he has to try and move back and synergize with the right-hand side. Moves the penals in.
Those Grenadiers very, very low, and fortunately as well, because the penals definitely couldn't have beaten that squad had they been on full HP charging through the open. Even then, they may even lose this one. The light cover for the Grenadiers making the world of difference, but has to retreat through the Grenadier squad. Got to be careful. That's neg cover. He may lose the squad. MG in the back as well, but looks as though the penals should escape just fine. Barely though.
Yeah, just going to get out of this one. Incredibly lucky in the end. Just managed to grab up that BR's garrison in the middle there with that penal squads, moving in some conscripts as well. It's a pretty nice unit movement here from Siberian, really looking for these 2v1s. Engagements. The players have grabbed, of course, that garrison, and they are very, very nice in close range, but not when they're being fired upon by that many conscripts. Nice MG placement, though. It's probably going to force off the conscripts, and we may see Siberian looking for that decap.
Yeah, Siberian really could get that cut off now. He has to get either the munitions and the VP as well, or the fuel point will still be connected. He could have actually gone for this VP there with his con squad, but decided not to, rather going in for that engagement. With the flame upgrade as well, the penals will dodge the rifle nade. Nice work, but will force that away from the cutoff. Yeah, the penals with the flamethrower are even more so deadly at close range, but that will then sacrifice their long-range firepower.
Would indeed. And actually maybe go for the cap here, but he's probably going to have to be backing off his penals. Does in fact move into that heavy cover to try and force off the grenadiers. No, just going for the further decap, which is a nice unit movement from Siberian. Did of course go with those double penals, and he's got those 3 conscripts as well. Probably be moving into some field medics if he doesn't already have them.
I like that play a lot by Siberian, because the issue with going for the tier 1, especially when you really do commit, wow, the penal squad playing a risky game, but we'll back off fine. The problem with going for like really heavy tier 1 play with a lot of penals is it means that you just have no AT. So the German can really punish that by going for scout cars, which are ridiculously strong since the changes here. But by having that many conscript squads, it means that he can go for those AT grenades, which that they can definitely shut down the scout cars if they do get the flank here. And that's actually what we see Jesulin going for that scout car as his first unit from his tier 2. And that could still be very, very deadly. He just has to make sure that he doesn't drive into those conscript squads.
Yeah, just got to be careful with that. He can still be micro it quite effectively. Do have an incredible amount of power there. See another little bit of a decap movement. Really wants to try and secure this garrison, does Siberian. His troops are starting to get suppressed by the MG though. It's a nice unit mixing and movement from Jesulin.
Yeah, one thing that really surprises me though is Jesulin hasn't gone for his field medics. He is floating, well, not anymore since that that upgrade on his scout car. He was floating a fair bit of munitions, and he desperately needs the medics, and he hasn't gone for them just yet. Got to be careful retreating through the flamers. They can get those crits and drop them down quite low. So this scout car is now firing away at the garrison. Won't be very powerful against the garrison, but the units out in the open will drop quite fast.
Well, indeed, and that scout car has now been scouted by Siberian, so we'll have to see if he does decide to go for those 18 nades to just try and force it off a little bit. Incredibly powerful with that up gun there. The penal's going to have to back right off from this one.
Yeah, you can go for guards, but going for guards, it is a problem, because then you really do trade off so much anti-infantry capability without the use of shock troopers or PPSHs. Going for the URA and the AT grenade around their head will land the grenade, but won't be able to finish it off, and now will drop several conscript members. So, was it worth it? It's hard to say. Conscript squad, though, not retreating. Oh, dearie, dearie. Now that penal squad will follow. MG won't get the engineer squad because the penal's forcing it away.
I think the important thing is here, it's buying the Siberian time to cap up that right-hand side of the map. I mean, he's moving his penals in now. Probably going for the squad wipe on the Grenz. Yeah, the Grenz are going to have to back off there. But because the scout car has to heal up now, it gives him a little bit more unit movement and time to start, you know, even getting... Oh, goes for another 18 aid. It's deep.
Yeah, Siberian really wants to find it, and he looks as though he won't because of the Pioneers and that light cover. It was a risky move. It was close to paying off, though, but Siberian won't get the lucky end of that trade for now. And it's really crucial here, because if Siberian needs to get up some sort of AT, and he won't be able to go for the AT guns because he did go for the tier 1, so he's going to have to get a T-34 or even a T-70, but T-70s generally aren't worth it anymore, because then you're open to, you know, a P4 play, for example. So T-34 is going to be crucial, but with the scout car, he really can force them back. As long as he micros it correctly, again, he has to make sure he doesn't drive into the conscript squads. When they get up close to the penals, they absolutely shred them. Their damage at close is really, really powerful. You just don't see it very often because of the AT grenades. But against shocks and against penals, the scout car damage at close is actually quite scary.
It's incredible. Siberian's taking really big advantage of this garrison. It's not the fact that, you know, he's trying to hold it and he's losing members. He's just forcing Jesulin to play very, very defensive, and he can't really move his outgun scout car out for fear of, you know, conscripts 18 waiting in the hedges. So it's just giving Siberian such nice map control, and here we go, moving up 2 full health squads there, but the garrison has been retaken out by Jesulin.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an issue though, because Jesulin is not going for the flanks. He just seems to throw his army into the defensified position of Siberian, where he really can go through the south, cap these points, hold the top here, but rather he just wants to really hammer his way through the middle. And generally, like, if that garrison is such a huge problem, you can just go for a mortar and just clear them out. But at this stage, he's just giving Siberian the time he needs to get that T-34.
Yeah, exactly right. Not taking advantage of that short window they actually do have, where the scout car is going to be shredding away at infantry, and the only thing you have to worry about is the 18-8, especially when he knows that the tier 1 went down, the tier 2 is incredibly unlikely, so he's got a fair bit of time to play with and just hasn't really been using it effectively. He has Vet 1 onto that scout car, but it doesn't have as many kills as it could do. Pioneer's getting caught out of position there.
Yeah, the scout cars, they really can start to get up all of those kills in the veterancy. The veterancy isn't as crazy as it used to be on scout cars. It looks as though Siberian will find the AT grenade there. Bit of a blunder for Jesulin. P-Grens now are being mixed in, very, very powerful against the conscripts, but against the penals with the flamers, they do have to be careful. But again, denying that cutoff is always good for the field deny here. Even a sniper would be pretty good against the garrison, or a flamer half-track. Flamer half-tracks are harder to go for now, because you do need the tier 3 upgrade, but Siberian, or Jesulin rather, he has enough fuel. He definitely could have had a flame half-track by now. And the P-Grens will face off against the penals, but Vet 2 as well as the Flamer, making them very, very powerful.
Yeah, also, the Flamer not only... It also decreases their DPS because they have to... they occasionally hit the ground when the Flamer actually does fire, and they all dive to the ground and go, oh no, I really don't want to be burnt critted right here, so... Backing off from this one, it's nice. I mean, against the conscripts definitely, but we'll have some issues against the penals. We'll have to see what kind of tank play style that Jesulin actually goes, given how far behind he is. I mean, the fuel has been held for quite a long time by Siberian, and he's also held the cutoff. So while not necessarily holding the fuel of Jesulin in that top area, he has been taking the cutoff and just holding it with that single squad of penals. Yeah,
there's actually a term for that little duck they do. I forget what it's called, but I noticed that in one of the streams, the PQ, he was saying what it's called. I think it's like reaction or something, because what they did nerf it because the flamers used to be like really strong because they would cause that so often, but it's a bit toned down now anyway. So Vet 2 on the scout car there. Yeah, I think the mines are nice, but the mine sweepers here from Jesulin looks as though they will reveal that one, because there's a fair bit of munitions in the bank here. When you don't go for guards, you generally have that option. Also, it hasn't gone for Molotovs, so there really is a fair bit of munitions to play with. And now Jesulin finally has pushed back, so he will start to hold the territory now with his MGs and his scout car. The scout car is also really good synergizing with the MGs because it means you're getting scouting and vision, so the MGs can fire from afar. The P-Grens through the neg cover, dropping incredibly fast. Got to be much more careful with those P-Grens, and the Pyos with the Minesweepers should still be able to take out the MGs, but not when they upgrade to a flamethrower.
Oh no, that flame is going to be potent against the Pioneers. The Minesweeper was a good choice. Ideally, you know, Pioneers, they're nice if you can synergize them with Grenadiers against conscripts, but when you're trying to deal with penals at close range with their own flamers, going for that Minesweeper is just a better choice.
Yeah, I think Minesweepers for German, it's not a thing of, I should get Minesweepers if he builds mines. It's, I should always get Minesweepers, because if the Soviet is actually good at the game, he will always be spamming mines everywhere, because mines for Soviet are just so key and essential to the play. Rifle nade, up at the top actually, I thought that was a bottom, yeah, clearing out that garrison, but the penal's going back in there, and even then, if Jesulin gets the garrison, but the flamer is there ready and waiting, I really think Jesulin should just ignore that garrison, and just go for the flanks or just blow it up with a mortar.
Really should going for a different positioning here, but the penals may get caught. No. Now, the Afghan scout car is there. Satchel went in, but nice dodge from Jesulin.
Yeah, that garrison is gone now. That's going to actually pay off towards Jesulin, because now Siberian can't rely on that one. That mine will destroy the scout car in a single detonation if it does pass over it. So it's still pretty even in terms of the territory. Jesulin has pushed back a fair bit, but it must just be a matter of time until Siberian gets his IS-2. Hasn't actually teched up. Oh, no, went for his tier 2 for his AT gun. Must be predicting an Ostheer or a P4, and the scout car blows up to the mine. Excellent work going directly into the IS-2. This is a sort of a place I'll be seeing a lot more. P-Grens may even get the conscript squad on retreat. Veterancy 2 would be a big deal to lose. He does. The Veterancy 2 is such a big power spike for the conscripts because they get a lot higher accuracy and health. It really does make a big difference to their output. Yeah, because the cost of teching has increased for both Germans and Soviets, it means that it's often a lot harder to actually get those tanks in time, and when you do get them in time, there isn't much of a gap until they have the heavy tank call-ins. So mainly for IS-2s, but also for Tigers and the T-34-85s, it's often very common just going for those techs straight away.
Definitely not. Grenade does go in, and we might see another con squad drop here. Siberian may walk away with this one. Yes, he does. Just managing to keep that alive. Is that a Maxim in the building? I don't think
Yeah,
we
it's
saw
been
an
there for a while.
MG cap. Yeah, it's definitely a Maxim in there. And look, it's a very, very nice position because, again, it's holding that VP cutoff, which means every time the fuel gets decapped, it stays decapped here for Siberian. It's a really nice Maxim placement in that church there. The MG42 as well from...
Oh, KV8.
Oh, KV8. Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like he will find the squad wipe. The KV8s are so ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't mind that. That's alright. It's not a bad choice because, you know, he's got so much fuel saved up in the bank. So by going the KB8 before he has the command points for the IS-2, he's still going to get his IS-2, you know, a little bit later. But I think he's realized that Siberian's actually going to be saving for his Tiger, and that's why he's tried to get in a little bit early with that KB8.
Yeah, but not really early. Jesulin almost has it. He has the resources. He just needs one more command point. I think for Siberian, it's kind of okay because he already has the Zis and he already has his AT grenades. But going straight into the base, wants to find the squad wipes, and there's the incendiary barrage, so may find it. The fault will not penetrate that frontal armor of the KV8. Pretty thick armor there, and the MG42 may drop here in the process. The penal squad may see a similar fate, has to retreat. And there goes the Veterancy 1 MG conscripts. The Grenadier squads can juke around the buildings, but it's hard to do so when there's an incendiary barrage. But going for the squad wipes has gave Jesulin the VPs he requires and may throw away the KV8 Tiger. Very, very powerful. The Panzerfaust penetrates this time around. That KV8 is now doomed. The AT gun is moving in, but I don't think it's going to save it in time.
So obviously nice prediction there on his machine. Tiger coming in when the KV8 didn't. Just definitely not paying off. An incredible fuel investment here from Siberian. He's just going to throw it away for pretty much just one squad wipe on that MG.
I think it was definitely a huge misplay. I mean, going for those squad wipes is fine, but not when you're on 10 CPs. Now, the thing is that you can gauge is if, oh, that con squad, I mean, these penals, P Grens, they're basically the master of squad wiping. They're giving a bit of an embarrassment to the Panzerwerfers, the master of squad wipes. And now the Vet 2, so they're a lot harder to kill with that extra armor.
They definitely are.
Yeah, so the thing is when Siberian called in the KV8, he had like he had 9.5 command points, and so did Jesulin. The CPs are generally the same across the board. He should have seen that and gone, well, he's so close to his 10 command points that he's obviously expecting a Tiger. I mean, getting the KV8 is still fine, but don't go in for the squad wipes in the base when the Tiger is so close, because with the AT gun, you can ward off the Tiger, and the KV8s can, you know, prevent capping and things like that. But he's thrown away now, and so now all of a sudden, you know, Siberian is at a real problem because he's so far away from his IS-2. He almost has the fuel, but he's pretty low on manpower.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, given how many command points he actually, you know, did have, how close he was to the IS-2, it would have just been a better job to get an IS-2, then you start dueling with the Tiger, and you're going to get your second IS-2 well before another Tiger comes out from Jesulin. Jesulin was, of course, behind in fuel, yet he decided to go for that KV8 and just not playing off there.
Yeah, especially because there was no packs either. Rifle nade through the hedge. 2 packs actually. Well, this is, man, that rifle nade, incredibly powerful, so he may even lose that one here. I think the main thing about losing the Zisses isn't really a matter of recrewing, because they're incredibly cheap to reforce and re-crew, but it's the veterancy. You really want to get the veterancy, because Zis AT guns are probably one of the only units in the Soviet arsenal that actually benefit from Veterancy 1.
A lot. Like,
the only other ones that do are the SU-85s and the ISUs, because the rest of them just get really bad vet abilities, like, you know, capture points and signal flares. But the increased sight for AT guns is fantastic. It allows them to usually get an extra 1 or 2 shots off because they have further range. Veterancy 2 really increases their firepower with that extra rate of fire and accuracy. Maxim's retreating, but through the P-Grens and the Tiger. Tiger's actually got taken pretty low. If the IS-2 comes in soon, it'll be excellent, but the Zis has to drive past the Tiger. Gotta be careful.
Does it indeed. Tiger did stick its turret into that church there. Nice incendiary artillery barrage coming out there, but nothing to force off the Tiger at this point. It has taken several Zis shots at this point, but now the Zisses have to back off from Siberian. He's only got 2 of them, which is enough to ward off the Tiger for now, but the Tiger pretty much has free reign until the IS-2 comes in, and just not quite enough fuel. Very, very close now for Siberian.
No idea what Siberian was doing. I think he was looking for the satchel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think Jesulin was gonna, you know...
give it to him.
Yeah, it's... You have to be pretty not paying attention to land the satchel. It's like a 5-second timer that these Zisses are firing up now. There is the vision. Excellent work. Won't allow the extra shot. Now, The other thing as well with the KV-8s is that, like, you can bait them into mines very well, because KV-8s, they have so much health and so much armor that, like, they can take a lot of pounding, which means that the Tiger will often be baited into the chase, which then can land the Tiger on a mine, and then combining that with the AT guns that the IS-2s really can land those killing blows.
Definitely right. So Siberian's going to really rely on taking out this Tiger, because he's going to have a little bit of a tough time dealing with the P-Grens, and I guess he's going to have to just transition to dealing with them at range with those penals, because if the P-Gren's getting close, the penals just can't duel with the P-Grens in here. We'll have to see how he goes with the Flamer, but that's Vet 2 on the P-Grens.
No, it should be fine.
It just backs off, yeah, given the health.
Yeah, the health, the P-Gren score were so low, and that cutoff now has been captured. And now another thing as well is the penals, like, had those penal squads all been conscripts, he would have had much more AT grenades that really would have forced the Tiger back. But the Tiger is able to go around and just get so much bleeding on Siberian, because he just doesn't have enough AT grenades. He only has one, and you generally need at least 2 conscripts, because AT grenades just don't penetrate enough against the Tiger. You really have to have a lot of them, but now the IS-2 is available and has been called in. And at this stage, I would probably say Jesulin has the upper hand in the tank battles, but with 2 Zisses, that's going to give Siberian a pretty huge edge in those the tank dueling.
It definitely does, but given, you know, the fact that he's already lost 2 conscript
squads,
no! He might have some issues. Oh, those penals!
Why see, that is the problem with right-clicking on a point, because they group up like that. He may lose a Vet 3 penals. That is disastrous news if he loses that squad, because the penals scale so well with the veterancy now, where it does 4. You should never ever right-click on a point, because that happens all the time.
They just group up in an incredibly tight blob, and just all of a sudden rifle nade from nowhere, and those Grens just wipe you down. Happens so many times.
Yeah, like even with tanks, just anything. Like if you just see like that, that's bad as well.
T-34 shots even.
He right-clicked on the point. If you right-click like anywhere else, they sort of stand pretty far apart. There is an IS-2, but excellent Pack 40 from Jesulin, but now the AT guns not facing the right direction. Rear armor for the Tiger. IS-2 taking a shot as well. This could be quite tense. It really can be either man's game, but that Tiger is quite low. The IS-2 firing away at the Pack 40. IS-2s can squad wipe them so well, but they have to be careful. The Blitzkrieg is imminent on the Tiger, already being veteran C1, and the Zisses are trying to reface. Really need to get away from that rear armor, and the problem for Siberian, how many combat engineer squads do you see for Siberian?
Look, I'll just count them right now. There would be none on this machine. No combat engineer squads, no way to repair that IS-2, and it's going to take another pack shot. It's been lucky not to take 2 so far. 2 of those pack shots have missed, and they just chunk down IS-2s.
And the packs vet up really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And when they do vet up to that stun target, that really can combo well with the Blitzkrieg, and even just the regular Tiger, because the stun prevents the IS-2 from moving, often long enough that allows the Tiger to get in there and get the flank. So it's got to be careful. Siberian has to make sure he doesn't get caught by that. And the IS-2s are great because they have the anti-infantry firepower that Tigers aren't quite as good. So they really can deny the packs, the Grenadiers, the Pyos, and sort of bleed out the German player less so than the Tiger can. But the Tiger is just cheaper and more reliable in the tank engagements. Rifle nade as well are very good at forcing away the Zisses. Will get them quite low, and the pack is firing. Siberian really has been quite lucky so far. The pack just isn't penetrating and not hitting as much, and generally the packs do penetrate a lot more than Zisses at least.
Definitely some very, very nice positioning with that pack as well from Jesulin. It's really limiting the mobility of that IS-2 and preventing it from actually getting, you know, any squad wipes. Again, going for that decap with the P-Grens down the bottom. The IS-2 is moving up now.
Oh man, there's a second Tiger here for Jesulin. 2 Tigers against 1 IS-2. The AT gun placement has to be so careful, and again, there's just no engineers. The strength of IS-2s, like, against Tigers really is the power of the Pioneer denies. By trading off with a Tiger having your repairs and then just sniping down the Pioneer squad, and then all of a sudden you just have so much more health because you're able to repair your IS-2, and the German player is not. But he has no engineers.
No engineers.
The IS-2 is on a 2/3 HP. The Zisses are facing up though, so this could go either way here, but the two Tigers looking very, very strong. There is a Veteran C1 as well for their Blitzkrieg. Tigers still moving in. The Zisses having to reface here. IS-2 backing away as fast as it can with the rear armor. Blitzkrieg not popped just yet. IS-2 should be fine for now, but these packs, the Zisses rather, out of position. IS-2 caught against the building. Bad positioning there by Siberian. Crushes it now. AT guns turning around to meet it in. On the road now for that extra movement speed, but the Tigers are just penetrating the frontal armor so consistently here. The IS-2 out of friends and caught on the strategic point. This is disastrous news for Siberian, and facing off the rear armor, but turning around. What is he doing? The IS-2 is not moving away, and it does fall. The Zisses in the back, not enough to help out, and the Pioneers wiping out that squad in the back. The IS-2 should have been way more protected, should have had mines, should have been repaired, because now this Vet 2 is just very, very strong. Pioneers actually though will get forced away by the conscript squads, but can this be decrewed time? Veteran C3, but it will get decrewed. That is terrible news. AT grenade won't penetrate on the rear armor. Now it's two Tigers, but both of them are so low. Siberian calls in a KV-8.
No words, OG, no words. Against two Tigers that low? What? I don't understand. I really don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe he's a troll.
It was.
Yeah. Okay. Was
okay.
it? Yeah,
well,
okay.
look, Siberian. I think Siberian had that game.
Yeah.
He did really well in the early game, and then he called in a KV-8, and again the KV-8 could have been fine. Like,
it could have been.
I was okay with that. That didn't necessarily disagree with me.
He was ahead on fuel. He
had the packs. He had the AT grenades.
He had enough to force off the Tiger.
But he shouldn't have driven it into the base of Jesulin when the Tiger was so close to being called in, and he should have known. It's not a matter of, oh, we're spectating, we know when the Tiger came in. No, I mean, Jesulin didn't see any tech. There was no tier 3, no tier 4. They were on like almost 10 command points. The Tiger was obviously coming. Yeah. It was obviously coming. Yeah, so I think IS-2 would have been smarter, if not just KV-8, double AT and play more defensively, play more conservatively. IS-2s are very strong on Kolodny, but this is something we've been seeing a lot. Soviets just love the KV-8s. Yeah, their OP is absolute hell, but you can't build them against Tigers and expect to win. Even if you did get the squad wipe on the Grenadier squad, which you almost did, it just wouldn't have mattered. But anyway, more mines as well. More mines are always so important in those tank battles. I think that'll wrap this one up for now. Thank you for watching. We are the Generals Gentlemen. I'm Onis Machine.
And I'm Archon Hawk.
Catch you later.